We are live 364 days a year.
What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get sushi after Monday Night Raw? What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Saturday, June the 21st. We're here to break down SmackDown. I'm stoked about it. I'm Clark Taylor. Let's get right into it. Let me introduce my co-host to you today because I've got a couple of good ones. Happy Saturday, everyone out there. I'm going to send this one to Philadelphia first. We've got my co-host of Sold Separately, the man they call Anthony Ricciardi. How have you been lately? And happy Saturday, my friend.
I'm doing all right. I was at the Chelsea game yesterday, and they lost, and I got a sunburn because of it. But other than that, I'm doing fine. And I'm looking forward to covering a quasi pretty eventful SmackDown from last night.
Absolutely. I could not be more stoked about it myself, but we also do have to introduce another guy. Geographically, he may be on the East Coast. He may be in, I believe, Massachusetts, if I remember correctly. But he is representing the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. We've got Dez back in the building. Happy Saturday, Dez. What's going on, man?
Clark and Anthony, while you guys sit there, hopefully as comfortable as you possibly can be, I want you to listen to me. I want you to digest this, because before I leave WR Daily today, I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest about last night's SmackDown. What a great show it was. Happy Saturday to everybody across the world, to all of our WR friends and family. Clark, thank you guys so much for having me on. Anthony as well. Let's just get right into it.
I'm stoked about it, Dez. That was excellent. I will say, though, in both pipe bombs, digestion being brought up, I've had trouble with digestion in the past. Why are we making fun of that? It just seems tough. I don't know.
It's really directed at you.
I feel targeted a little bit. I'm just totally kidding. DCX Warlord already in the comments with, hey, Claudio Castagnoli, hey, Nick Nemeth, hey, Matt Cardona, how y'all doing?
Wall.
If he saw Ben earlier, he could have said Hangman Page. He didn't. Whatever. What's up, WR Crew, though, from DCX Warlord? What's going on? And then what's up, WR Crew, as well, from friend of the show, also Fernando Zayas. Awesome to have y'all in the comments as always. But let's get right into last night's SmackDown. Let's talk about Los Angeles Knight, as I like to call him. Yeah, LA Knight. He's in deep trouble. Tsunami after tsunami after tsunami. Usually there's only one tsunami when we're talking about natural disasters. This was not the case last night. It was multiple. Talk about breaking a guy in half. I don't know. More like smashed. Either way, it's ugly for LA Knight, but I do like the rivalry here. Anthony, got to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, Seth needs people to go after, and LA Knight is an obvious choice. He's a fan favorite. Everywhere he goes, he gets the yeah chant. So it makes sense, Braun Breaker and Bronson having somebody to go up against with LA Knight, because he has momentum and it kind of helps the stable, and it's the good guy against the bad guy, which is always, that's what funnels the business. It's the good versus evil is always an age-old adage that works in storytelling. So it makes sense. Obviously the tsunamis were excessive, which is fine because that makes it look menacing. But the last time Bronson Reed got excessive with the tsunamis, he ended up joining that guy's stable. So so hopefully history doesn't repeat itself here, and he starts, But I'm curious to see where this goes from there. I totally want to see where this continues to go, because obviously there's no belt involved, because LA Knight does not have a title. Bronson doesn't have one, and neither does Braun Breaker either. So it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic and where that goes, and who comes in to help LA Knight to kind of balance this out for this feud to go.
That's a real good question too. Does he have enough buddies to provide balance here? And I don't think LA Knight does. He's not really associated with anyone.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough,
Yeah.
right? And I think you really broke that down beautifully there. I like the LA Knight Rollins rivalry. This is the first time it has felt like the gang up effect. Other times they've attacked people, you do feel like, oh, wait, look, there's going to be sort of an even the numbers alliance thus far since we've had this new, group with Seth and Heyman and the Bronsons, right?
The new Dangerous Alliance, for lack of a better name.
Real first name Bronson? Aren't they both Bronson? Technically, outside of the show, I think.
Yeah, I think
Braun's actual first name is Bronson Rex Steiner. That kind of cracks me up the more I've thought about it.
But Bronson Reed, I don't think that's his real first name, is it?
No, it's not. But it's just the irony is not.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Me, right? Like it's actually Braun's real first name. Just
isn't it is kind of funny that they would have that conflict there, considering the fact that I think they changed Jordan Grace's music because it sounded too similar to Bronson, Braun Breakers. So
that's right.
Maybe they'll switch him to Steiner, or maybe they'll just call him Breaker and drop the Braun, maybe, or something to that effect. Maybe.
I don't hate it because it is kind of funny with Braun and Bronson. There's something there, maybe for a team up.
Braun and Braun.
Add him to the tag team division at some stage. I don't know, but Dez, I do got to get your thoughts on this one as well. No doubt about it. What did you think about LA Knight? And not one, but multiple tsunamis we saw from the Bronson of the Bronsons. The Bronsons.
Yeah, the Bronsons. I'm not going to lie. When I was watching Bronson Reed, even before he attacked LA Knight, in my head, I'm thinking, I wonder when LA Knight's going to go to Raw. Because there's really nothing else for him to do left on SmackDown since Seth Rollins is on Raw. So in my head, during the big portion of the LA Knight Bronson Reed match, my thoughts were, it's LA Knight. I mean, when is LA Knight going to be on Raw? And unless they do LA Knight versus Seth Rollins at Night of Champions, I think this is what's going to take us to Monday Night Raw, because now he's taken multiple tsunamis from Bronson Reed. It was 3, I believe. He's already been attacked multiple times, and I feel like this would be a great way to write him off, probably until the draft happens, and then you bring LA Knight into Raw. Or let's say there's a match, I don't know, let's say Seth Rollins versus Gunther, for example, right? Since Gunther's champion. You have LA Knight come back and cost Seth Rollins, so then you reignite that rivalry. So I'm curious to know if that's what they're going to do. I'm not exactly sure, though.
I'm totally with you, Dez. I think this is really about, obviously, Knight and Seth. Mm-hmm. The Raw aspect is fascinating, right? I mean, look, and we just got the news. Only a few weeks away, the 4th of July, SmackDown is shrinking by an hour. So that's another factor, though. It would be interesting if, logically, some talent does make the move over to Raw.
Right.
We talked about, the draft and the brand split sort of being dead. Being around the same amount of time now, I don't know if it's dead anymore. It's going to be more. It's got to be more cut and dry with the loss of an hour. That's something we haven't considered because there's been a lot of fodder when it comes to that discussion lately about, is 3 hours too many? We've had quite a few comments, though, today about how great last night's SmackDown was. This is kind of 2 in a row where we've had quality 3-hour SmackDowns. I'm not saying that I'm on the side of, 3 hours over 2, but one factor we haven't considered is, what does this mean for the 2 rosters? Because with 1 hour shrunk, you've got an extra half an hour over on Netflix on Raw, and we kind of all are aware of that.
Yes.
Right? That's pretty obvious at this stage. I don't know if everybody considered the effect once you take away the hour. It's not as simple as okay, now it's great, because they've got to make sure it's only 2 hours and they got to make sure it's all entertaining. I'm a little bit hesitant when it comes to the future here. And I think, Dez, you brought up a great point there. LA Knight should be on Raw at this stage. That's the scoop, especially with the Rollins, especially with this interaction and all of that. I think that makes perfect sense. It'll be interesting, though, if it's not more talent you need with a little bit of crossover, because losing a full hour is not small. If you think about it, with the commercial breaks, and I guess they are supposedly the same time, the Netflix commercial breaks versus the network commercial breaks. I had this discussion earlier in the week. It doesn't feel like it, and it doesn't feel the same. To me, I would be curious if we're looking statistically, if SmackDown and Raw aren't around the same time now and then won't be anymore.
I think part of the difference is with Netflix when they go to commercial. If you're watching with the ads, there's a little countdown thing in the corner, so it's like 3 minutes. When it's network TV, it could be 3 minutes, but it feels longer because you don't actually have like a countdown clock, so that might be part of it.
Yeah.
Whether you add an hour or subtract an hour, people don't realize that greatly impacts on what you're doing. You go, oh, you got an extra hour, we can show more talent, but to fill that void week in and week out is difficult. And you lose an hour, talent, you can't feature everybody. So it's a very difficult scenario that you have there on what to do with the time. And with SmackDown, when it went 3 hours, we all grumbled and went, all right, this feels like it's dragging out. It's this whole thing. Like you said, the past 2 weeks, they kind of had a better rhythm and it felt more natural and not forced. To go back the other direction now may be more difficult than it was. So it's a very tough spot for them to be in from a booking standpoint. And the question is, what happens to talent? Do you do a trade and trade LA Knight to Raw for, I don't know, Jey Uso, because that would be equal and it would put Jay and Jimmy on the same roster again, and you can kind of go that route if you wanted to go there. You know what I mean? It's a lot of things you gotta figure out what you want to do.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not as easy. It's like it's the same thing when like people argue, oh, well, they should add this title or this talent should be featured. Where are you pulling it from? No, that's the constant problem where people will go, oh, this person should be booked better, or they need this title. Whose time are you cutting? You know what I mean? It's a very difficult spot when you're losing an hour. You're going to feel it. Talent, you're going to feel it. There's going to be talent that doesn't get featured, and people will get mad. There's talent that could possibly get cut. With that, it may get moved over to Raw. Maybe they'll go to NXT. Maybe that's where it'll kind of go. You know what I mean? So it's you don't know what's going to be, and you kind of just got to watch and hope for the best at this point.
Really up in the air. And I want to read some interesting comments here, Ant. So I loved this one from DCX Warlord. B&B security instead of J&J security. That's hysterical. Then we've also got Bobby Batito's in agreement. LA Knight should be on Raw. DCX Warlord would rather have 3 hours of NXT. I think that's a little bit wild because of the developmental aspect, but I don't hate it because of the entertainment value.
I really think it's funny. For the longest time, I remember Hunter said years ago, he thought the ideal show was 90 minutes. I got to be honest, since Raw has been 2.5, I really think that is the sweet spot. Believe it or not, I feel like it's the sweet spot with wrestling.
Fernando here is saying, I do not see how 2 hours of SmackDown affects talent when Raw and SmackDown were always 3 and 2 hours. Talent was fine. Yeah, I think the change is what affects it, right? We're back to 2.5 hours, as Anthony mentioned, Fernando. And by the way, I almost think this is one of those scenarios where it's too early to tell.
Yes,
right.
100% it is.
Like, it's too early to call. I don't know if we know if it's effective because we haven't had the longevity yet. We had the longevity in some sense with 3 hour Raw for years.
Yes.
The hottest Raw has been, other than that Netflix debut that was heavily criticized, has been recent.
Yes.
Right? And that's a huge factor. So you've got that going for you there. SmackDown was kind of the A show for a while, though, with the Fox deal. Things have changed since then.
Honestly, 2.5 hours is probably the best you can get with wrestling. When you get the 3 hours, if it's not a pay-per-view, it feels like it's dragging at times. And it does happen. I'm not saying it happens every show, because there's some of them where you're on your edge of your seat the entire time.
Absolutely.
But it does happen where, you don't want your audience going, more of this. Come on. Like, you want the audience to be engaged the entire time, both in the audience that are actually in the arena, plus the people at home. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what you want. but it's a very slippery slope when you're kind of going back and forth between 2 hours and 3 hours and switching it based on what time of the year it is. I don't think that's a good idea. You either need to make that decision and do an occasional 3-hour show, but don't do 3 hours for 6 months out of the year and then 2 hours. That you're causing more problems than it's worth, to be honest with you.
Totally hear it. We got the pipe bomb LOL comment here. Yes, we are going to get to that in our main event, but let's get on to our second topic of today. No doubt. Let's talk about Asuka. Let's talk about the Queen of the Ring tournament. Yes. She knocks out Alexa Bliss. Ben, with these graphics, man, she didn't actually KO her. That's not what happened. She won via pinfall. We all saw it. Come on, man. Either way, Asuka advances. Talk to me about it really quick, Anthony.
Yeah, he always loves to go for the controversial title for these things. The headline that'll grab people. No, but Asuka's been on the shelf for a long time. Asuka is one of the most decorated performers in WWE history. She went undefeated in NXT. She never lost the NXT Women's Championship when she moved. She vacated it. She's had a phenomenal career. The audience has missed her. So I will love to see her win the Queen of the Ring. I think she's a logical choice. It's something she hasn't won before. She's won a Royal Rumble. She's won Money in the Bank. She's multiple-time women's champion, guaranteed future Hall of Famer. Adding a Queen of the Ring to her resume would be a great thing. Alexa Bliss, I get it. She has not exactly been seen much either, but they're obviously going with another direction with her, with Charlotte, and what direction they're going to go with that. Possibly the tag titles, which I think they're probably going to do away with, to be honest with you, especially after the Liv Morgan injury and stuff. They're probably going to get rid of it, but it looks like they're going some direction with Charlotte and Bliss. And Asuka makes a logical choice. I would love to see Asuka take the title off of Tiffany. I think that would be a great move too, because I could totally see Tiffany going for her moonsault and Asuka moving out of the way and just getting her in her Asuka lock and calling it a day.
Ball game, right?
Yeah.
No, I hear you there 100%. I mean, this tournament has been kind of cool, but like you said, there's a lot of question marks when it comes to some of the stars. I mean, it even goes back to our last segment, right? Bobby's here and he's liked what Alexa Bliss has done since she returned at the Rumble, and I agree, but she's out of the tournament here. And like you said, this Charlotte thing's up in the air, the tag belts thing's up in the air, and they all affect each other in this sort of spin cycle. It's interesting. I'm not totally sure. I did enjoy the match, and I love the idea, though, of catching Tiffany in the Asuka lock. Off of a moonsault, that's a difficult bump, but I am all over that. Let's read some comments here, though. I am interested in this one. We've got the Atomic Merp with Asuka versus Io incoming, which he's absolutely hyped about, or she's absolutely hyped about.
Possibly.
Either way, works. All over it. And then we got What Up, Doe from the Lines Talk by Chat Sports. What's going on? Thank you for tuning in, no doubt. And then C Money corrected me earlier on knocked her out of the tournament. Yes, I know. Yeah. I know what he meant.
But Ben's publicist.
Yeah, Ben, why are you sending your publicist at us? I'm kidding. Shout out C Money. Thank you for the comments.
Thanks.
Let's pay some bills really quick though, not to bore you guys. I promise we'll keep the show rolling as fast as we can here. But let's talk about Wrestling Republic Undercard. If you haven't subscribed to our second channel, Wrestling Republic Undercard, for exclusive videos, clips, and more, what are you doing? Please do that immediately here. It's awesome. We've got sold separately over there with me and Anthony. If you're a collector of merchandise, action figures, specifically as of late, anything, check out Sold Separately over on Undercard. It's awesome, real quick videos, and then all kinds of clips and everything from all of the stuff on our platform. Speaking of our platform, let's talk really quickly about Ben's thing. We'll give this one a cheap plug too. Subscribe to the Allison Analysis YouTube channel to see Ben's 5 key findings from Raw, SmackDown, and more. You're going to get one of those today, and I think the other one on Tuesday. That stuff's fun as well. But last but certainly not least, no matter what kind of phone you got, head over to the App Store or the Google Play Store. Download the Itsy app. Go to the upcoming stream section. You'll find us over there. Generally on Saturdays, we will be making our return in a few weeks here. You're going to see me, Takes. You're going to see Ben Allison. You're going to see Aunt You. You're going to see We the Ones, all kinds of people like that over on that stream. But here's the difference between normal live streams and this one. As long as you've got a microphone, if you've got a camera, you're allowed to join as well. You'll have a few minutes. Use that microphone. You can argue with us about whatever topic you'd like. So if you disagree with me on Cody Rhodes or John Cena or whatever in the world that I say on these shows, head on over to Etsy, download the app, and we can hash it out. But I will say, pack a lunch. It'll be a long day if we're going to be arguing about pro wrestling, my friends. Let's keep rolling, though. Let's talk about Randy Orton. He knocks out Sami Zayn, not with a punt, but out of the tournament via RKO, the 3 most dangerous letters in all of professional wrestling. Mr. St. Louis, the fact that at his age, he can still get fully horizontal to hit that RKO. Come on, guys. I just respect it. He took the diamond cutter and made it more athletic. And that's why, in my eyes, it's the greatest finishing move of all time. And they didn't even have to protect it because it just looks so cool. But Randy Orton knocks out Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's got a lot of politics and things going on, a lot of people in his ear, a lot of funk. You know, he's starting to kick people's faces in and whatnot. Dez, I'm going to go to you. I'm glad you're back. Microphone fixed. Or camera, whatever it was. What's going on with the Orton match last night? Talk to me about that. And then also Sami's future coming out of this tournament loss.
Honestly, I thought it was really one of the best King of the Ring matches I've seen in recent memory. I think it was just more so because this was a match, in my opinion, where there was really no definitive winner, right, between Randy and Sami, because both of them, they had clear paths to the King of the Ring tournament. Or you can make an argument that neither of them were going to make the King of the Ring finals because they had other paths along them. This is why the segment before them was really important, because it was all 4 wrestlers talking about, oh, you're a great champ. I mean, I want you to be a champion, but not during my time. And they're like, oh, you can do it winning this and by doing this, doing that. For Randy and Sami, it was really unknown. The match itself was fantastic, in my opinion. I thought they had amazing chemistry. I can't remember the last time Orton and Sami Zayn had a one-on-one match, but for this to be like a flashback for me, this was great. Amazing chemistry, Blue Thunder bombs, haluva kicks, reversals constantly, RKOs constantly. I thought Orton won at most times. I thought Sami Zayn won at most times. I thought for me, this was definitely the best King of the Ring matchup in this tournament by far. For Sami Zayn's future, I think now you open a door for Karrion Kross to get into the mix. I also feel like the biggest question for me and most fans is this going to start leading to Sami Zayn potentially going to the dark side and turning on Mr. Jey Uso, 4 letters, 1 word, ye? Is that what's going to happen next for Sami Zayn? That I don't know about. I am excited to know what's going to possibly happen. Thought it was a great match. And overall, I think it's a great story, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds.
Well, absolutely. Same here. Wow. Thanks a lot, StreamYard, on the unmute button there. But absolutely, dude, I'm in agreement. I'm really, really, really in agreement, especially on it's the best match of the tournament so far. Sami and Randy can just go. This is really interesting here. We've got C-Money with the Viper King. I'm assuming he's picking him to win King of the Ring. Mm-hmm. We've got another bold prediction here, though, from DCX Warlord, and that is Sami's winning the Rumble. Fascinated by that twofold. First off, this tease of a Sami heel run. Mm-hmm. That is very much a thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If Sami is going to win the Rumble, I want it to be as a babyface, and that's personal bias. Mm-hmm. I understand if you disagree with that or whatever it may be, but if Sami Zayn is going to win the Rumble, I want it to be as a babyface because I do think that that's where he's at his finest. The juxtaposition with Sami that's really interesting is he's so dang talented, he can also play a top heel. And I do understand it's a little bit of time for a change. Anthony, I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about this one too, so I'm going to ask you real quick.
I mean, that's the thing with Sami. He is somebody that is one of the most respected people in and out of the ring. And I don't know if there's anybody on that roster that has never held a world title that deserves one more than him.
Oh,
So-
I would agree. That
so-
I think let's let everybody sit in that for a second.
Like to
That's-
me, he deserves one. He's done it all in this business, but he's not done that. And when we talk about finishing the story, Cody got his. Sammy deserves it. There's nobody that deserves that more for him to have a run with the title. We've seen him against Randy, was it twice now? And both times we've seen them, it's been one of the most interesting, compelling matches. Like that feud with those two over a world title, that's compelling. Whether or not, we're all hoping that we get Kevin Owens back someday, whether or not that's going to happen, whether it's not going to happen. But to see Kevin Owens in that ring hugging Sammy after winning a world title, we all want to see it.
Yeah.
To me, the equivalent to that, or would be close to it, might be WrestleMania 20, Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, because the closeness and finally winning the title. Like,
sure.
Obviously, Benoit's got the bad connotation now, but the moment itself back then, that would be as close as you could possibly get. Two guys that were friends, pretty much more like brothers.
The only thing that I think the difference there is I don't see them both winning the world title.
No. But I'm just saying to see it, because at that point, Eddie had already won the title prior to Mania.
Right.
But Benoit won it at Mania. But my point being, not to bring light to that, but the whole connection of their careers have spanned this entire time. Kevin Owens and Sammy have been inseparable their entire careers.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, for me, Sammy winning the Rumble would be outstanding. I just want that moment in the sun. I just want him to win the title. Here's my other question, though, is who's going to win this? Let's pivot backwards here for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who's going to win this year's men's side King of the Ring? And I'm going to start with you on this, Dez. If you got to pick, is it Orton? Who is it?
It's Cody. I feel like it's going to be Cody and John Cena. I feel like that's a clear path. If Sami Zayn beat Randy Orton, then I would say Sami Zayn would be the clear-cut winner, because you can have him face Gunther and go on a similar path to what they did with WrestleMania 40 with him facing Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I don't think that's going to be in play anymore. I will say, I want to backtrack to this. I agree with you. If Sammy is going to win the Royal Rumble, he has to do it as a face. And I only say that because he says, I'm going to win a championship the right way. And if he goes and does dirty tactics and he turns heel, it makes him look a hypocrite. It doesn't make him look viable as like that feel-good story. So for that, I would agree. But I would say Cody.
One very small thing, and I'm just realizing it now.
And make your pick really quick.
It's Cody. But the 2026 Rumble, where is it?
Saudi Arabia.
Ooh, I actually don't. Oh, wow. Hello.
I've sat on this. I've sat on this.
So
yeah,
it's.
Oh yeah,
because I had previously said, okay, I wouldn't mind seeing Sammy win the King of the Ring, especially in Saudi. The Rumble's the next logical choice.
There's one more person though that could win the Rumble, and it's the reason why I don't think Sammy is going to win. Roman Reigns could win the Rumble. He's a massive name, and Saudi Arabia would eat it up. You're not
try
wrong.
to get him cheered actually
Sami
at the end of a Rumble. That's not a bad
Yeah.
pick.
What if Sammy eliminates Roman last?
That could happen. That could happen. 100%. I like the idea of Sammy winning the Rumble. 100%. I do like it a lot.
Give us a quick shout, WWE Creative, if you want. But let's move on to the main event, guys, because we're going to want to take our time with this puppy. We got deja vu all over again, in the words of the great Yogi Berra. This match was delightful. I hate how quickly we got back to just saying our truth and people saying our truth. It's Ron Killings. He said it was Ron Killings. Make it Ron Killings. Make a big deal about that. Make it feel different. And it doesn't feel all the way different. It feels like our truth got serious, not we got Ron Killings back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that bothers me about this. Right? Our truth got a haircut. And he's a little bit more serious than normal, but it's not all the way there. We got the Punk run in, and then we got exactly what I wanted this whole time. We got candy from a baby. We got not helping the old lady across the street. We got real heel work from John Cena. We got bug you, make your skin crawl type stuff. Just mean. So he ruins the main event match. He's here to ruin wrestling. He ruins CM Punk's run-in. And then he mocks the most defining moment of his opponent's career. He mocks it. He parodies it. It's hysterical. Because the best part about it is it didn't land harder than the original pipe bomb did. It didn't need to. This was a needle in your ribs, and the pipe bomb was a punch in the mouth. That's the difference between these two. They both hurt. They absolutely both hurt. I loved this. And I thank you. Shout out C Money, by the way. Yes, we do need K Quick, 3 Live Crew, the whole 9. I'm with you. But back to the task at hand here. John Cena, in his version of the pipe bomb, I wouldn't necessarily call it a pipe bomb. I'd call it more of a firecracker, or like a landmine. If we're talking about explosives, wasn't quite Molotov cocktail, but it was dang good. Dez, obviously you're wearing the t-shirt, so I gotta start with you on this. But what were your thoughts? What were your biggest takeaways?
First, I'll walk you through my mind process. Normally, when SmackDown does its main event matches, it's probably around 10:45, 10:42, maybe 10:50, right? If it's like rushed or in a way. This started at like 10:35. And in my head, I'm thinking, there's no way John Cena and Ron Killings are going to go 20 minutes. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this is either going to be a pipe bomb from John Cena or CM Punk. Once John Cena brought the table out, I'm like, oh, we're doing this. We're doing the pipe bomb. I will say, I have mixed feelings about it simply because some people are calling it the greatest promo of all time. I disagree about that. And then people are saying it's a parody of one of the greatest promos of all time. And I agree. This was a very good promo. I'm just one of those guys where it's like, if you're going to blur the line, I want you to blur the line, right? Mentioning Claudio on WWE television, that's big. But if anybody can pull back the curtain and like really dig into CM Punk, it would have been John Cena, right? He could have mentioned him walking out. He could have mentioned John Cena being the face of the PG era. He could have mentioned all this stuff with, obviously with AEW, but I know with the NDAs going on, so I get why he wouldn't do that. Could have mentioned the stuff with UFC, all this stuff he could have mentioned. So I get why they didn't do it. I still think the delivery was really good. My biggest thing was John Cena kind of had like these, he kind of made it like, it was almost mocking it in a way. And I noticed it because when he would say like, hi, Claudio, hi, Nick Nemeth, hi, Matt Cardona, he's like, hey, look at me, I'm live. This is a live mic. It almost felt like the kid that just figured out how to get past parental controls on the parents' TV so they could play Call of Duty. That's kind of what it felt like. Like, look at this. I cracked the code. Look at me. I'm the bad guy now. So it was mocking in a way. I thought delivery was really good. I just kind of wish the lines were they just hurt more. They were more serious, right? The line where he's like, you're not a punk. You're a capitalist. You're against TKO? Dude, you're a Mr. TKO. I wish he would have landed those lines more.
Dez, I agree with a lot of what you said there, but a couple things really quickly. First off, the TKO thing we will get to, but the line that you mentioned earlier, the one that you just mentioned where it was about like, you know, the whole you are a capitalist thing.
Yeah.
The brilliance is CM Punk fought in the UFC, went 0-2 on a contract bigger than other mixed martial arts stars.
Right.
Endeavor bought the UFC in 2016. Mm-hmm. They were not called TKO yet. But that's who CM Punk fought for. And he fought for $200,000 to win, $200,000 to show, and $200,000 to win. Right? So $400,000 total against a guy making 10 and 10. And people don't bring that up. And he got choked out in 90 seconds. That jab I thought landed as hard as anything.
Me too.
You are Mr. TKO. So when I agree with you that some of the lines weren't as harsh as they should have been, that one in particular,
That good.
runs deep. That runs
I agree.
really deep. He's
Yeah.
taking paychecks from TKO. He got really heavily criticized in the MMA community for being paid more to be there than people who train their whole lives.
Yeah.
To be mixed martial artists. That part of it, I thought was the most clever line
Me
by
too.
John Cena. There's a few others, the Saudi Arabia factor, all of that. But that I'm with you on not everything landed perfect. Now, at the same time, I found part of it to be tongue-in-cheek, making fun of Punk.
Oh, right. It was.
This is
I
what
agree with that.
you wish you would do. Again, this
Mhm.
was your best moment. Watch me recreate it. And going back to the best in the world and going back to all that, I was cool with it, but I do agree. It could have been, especially for a guy that, he's an
Yeah.
MC. He's got hip hop albums. Punchlines could have landed a touch harder. I
Mhm.
hear you there. But Anthony, obviously, Mr. Head of Opinions here, we can't stop until we get yours on this subject. And you've seen all of it. Talk to me about it, Ant.
Yeah, this is one of those things where Cena's heel turn is very tongue in cheek, like you said. It's very sarcastic in a way. It's a major moment for him. One of Punk's defining moments was that pipe bomb. I love the little Easter egg history part of this, which somebody had pointed out, and it is 100% true. When Punk cut the pipe bomb all those years ago in 2011, it was main evented by John Cena and Truth. And now we're doing it again. I'm sure that was not by accident. I'm sure that was 100% intentional with this. Obviously, the roles are reversed. Cena's big thing is that Punk's a hypocrite. Punk's argument back then was he didn't hate the business, he didn't hate the job, he hated who was running it. Obviously, that person is no longer running it. TKO is, or the conglomerate. So Punk getting the brunt of that is fine. I know people are looking for little nuggets. Claudio Castagnoli, that must mean the equivalent of Colt Cabana, the CC, and Matt Cardona must mean Matt Jackson, and Nick Nemeth must mean Nick Jackson. I think you're digging. It reminds me of back in the day when they did the Save Us Y2J vignettes, and everyone was trying to figure out who it was, and they were looking at different things and went, oh, this date corresponds with Sunday Night Heat that Chris Jericho was on, so it has to be Jericho. And I'm like, it was Jericho, but like those hints weren't there. And I feel like that's the same boat with this, where they're looking for hints where they're not. The reason he dropped Claudio's name, the reason he dropped Nick Nemeth, the reason he dropped Cardona was to give the illusion that this was a shoot promo. This was not a shoot promo. It may raise some red flags in AEW where they're like, why was this person mentioned? Is Claudio going back? Like, people may freak out over that, but I think it was just to try to create that illusion of pipe bomb, a loose cannon. It really wasn't. Even the original pipe bomb, newsflash, most of that was pretty much scripted too, as it's been relayed. The shots against Hunter, Cody has said he was back there. Hunter suggested most of those shots. So, a lot of that was choreographed. This whole thing is roles being reversed. Punk and Cena. For the first time, Punk is the face, Cena is the heel, and you're doing it in a place that Punk has openly said he really didn't want to go to. So I think that really helps this because it drives that whole internet narrative going, oh, he's a hypocrite. You don't know what he's doing with the payday. None of us do. He could be donating all that money for all we know.
So true.
We have no idea. And, not to get political with any of this stuff, but you have fans there. They were born there. A lot of them, they don't get the choice, and to deny them the privilege of seeing Punk live, regardless of any of that stuff, you got to think of other fans, and they want to see Punk just like they wanted to see Sammy when he was denied.
I think it's interesting, Ant, because I think he already got him on the Saudi Arabia thing, but I think he got him in the 3 places. The TKO place was spot on. You're not a Punk place was really, 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 really good. And then the biggest one to me is John sitting back and being like, they're not going to kill my live mic.
Unlike you.
But they killed yours.
Yes.
They are not going to kill my live mic was the ultimate, cut you at the kneecaps. They would cut yours, but not me. And you know why.
Yeah.
And he said it so passive aggressively. It was the most narcissistic thing
I think that was the best
done
line.
as a heel.
I think it was the best line.
Was by far.
That was the best line.
To me, that stole the promo. That was the difference, right? He parodied everything else. The only difference is he taps the mic and it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Because it's John Cena. And that was him flexing, doing they're not going to cut me off.
I will always
see
be
the difference.
I will always be the face of the company, and you'll never be.
Always matter more than you did.
Yeah.
That was just the way it was.
It was the twisting of the knife.
I really, really, really respected it. I thought it was awesome. Speaking of awesome, I thought today's show was awesome. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. That's going to bring us to the end of the show. Have an excellent Saturday and rest of your weekend. On behalf of me, well, wait a minute. I'm not even doing the on behalf of me thing yet. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. That's going to be noon Pacific, of course, 3 o'clock in the East, 8 o'clock in the UK, and 9 a.m. for my friends in Hawaii. But now, on behalf of me, Anthony Ricciardi, and Dez, everybody here at WR, I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday, and we will talk to you soon.